Hola mi gente y bienvenidos a Spring Spanish. Yo soy Paulísima, I am Paulísima, and I'm one of the Spanish teachers at Spring Spanish. Estás viendo la segunda y última parte. You're watching the second and last part of Indirect Object Pronouns en español. Si no has visto la primera parte, if you haven't watched the first part, ¿qué estás esperando? What are you waiting for? Ve a verla ahora mismo. Go watch it right now. En este video vas a aprender más. In this video, you will learn more about the use of these tiny yet complicated Spanish words like le and les. Empecemos. Quick recap. Remember that the indirect object in a sentence responds to the question to whom or for whom something in the sentence is performed. And the Spanish indirect object pronouns are as follows. Let's observe this sentence. Les dejé una lasaña en el refri. Les dejé una lasaña en el refri. I left you guys, or I left them, a lasagna in the fridge. Let's see how in this affirmative sentence, the pronoun les comes before the conjugated verb. In this case, it's dejé. I left from the verb dejar. So the construction in Spanish is different to that in English. In English, you will say, I left you, or I left them. The pronoun will be after the verb. In Spanish, it's the other way around. That is the general rule, right? So indirect object pronouns come before the conjugated verb. The same will be true for the negative version of the same sentence. So we will say, no les dejé una lasaña. No les dejé una lasaña. I didn't leave you guys, or I didn't leave them a lasaña. You see, again, the indirect object pronouns comes before the conjugated verb. What about in sentences when we give instructions or we give orders, when we tell somebody to do something? Well, in this case, the indirect object pronoun will come after the verb to form one word. Let's say I want you to leave me a lasagna in the fridge. Then I will say, déjame una lasaña en el refri. Déjame una lasaña en el refri. Leave me a lasaña in the fridge. Déjame. You see, the matching pronoun for the person I, it's me. It's like in English, me. I will pronounce it differently. Alright, so déjame. Observe how we added un acento en la E, an accent mark on letter E. This is to preserve the original intonation. However, if the instruction is not to do something, then we revert to the original where the indirect object pronouns comes before the conjugated verb. For example, no le abras la puerta a nadie. No le abras la puerta a nadie. Do not open the door to anyone. Or, no les digas. Shh, no les digas. Do not tell them. No les digas. Les comes back to the original place, you see, before the conjugated verb. Digas from the verb decir, to tell. No les digas. When we have more than one verb in a sentence, we have two options. And I'm going to use the same phrases to exemplify both options. All right, so the first option is we place the indirect object pronoun before the conjugated verb. Okay, and I'm going to use it with two phrases. Les voy a dejar una lasaña. Les voy a dejar una lasaña. I'm going to leave you a lasaña. You know this one already. And you see we have two verbs. We have voy and estar. But estar is in infinitive. So we have to put it before the conjugated one, which is voy. I'm going to. So we say les voy a dejar. And let's use another phrase. Nos estás explicando los pronombres. Nos estás explicando los pronombres. Here we also have two verbs. They're both conjugated, but see how Estás is conjugated like normal, you are. And explicando, it's conjugated, but it ends in ando, which is the Spanish version of ing. So when we have this, we're going to choose the other verb, the one that is not in ing, and we're going to put the indirect object pronoun before that verb. Nos estás explicando los pronombres. Okay, now we're going to use the same phrases but for the second option, and it will be like this. Voy a dejarles una lasaña. Voy a dejarles una lasaña. Here we attach les to the end of dejar because dejar is not conjugated, it's in infinitive, so we can attach it there and it becomes dejarles. In the second phrase, we could say estás explicándonos los pronombres. You are explaining to us the pronouns. Estás explicándonos los pronombres. Same thing, we attach nos, the matching pronoun for the person nosotros, we, at the end of explicando, and it becomes explicándonos. Again, if you want to memorize this, I strongly suggest you that instead of just memorizing les, you will be better off if you learn a full phrase. For example, voy a dejarles, or les voy a dejar. You can make a flashcard like the one that is going to be in your screen at any moment, and you put in parentheses, I'm going to leave you, or I'm going to leave them una lasaña, and then what is the right answer? Or I'm going to leave you, or I'm going to leave them, voy a dejarles, or les voy a dejar. You can choose either or. I like it better to attach it at the end because it's more similar to an English construction, and I find that is easier for some of my students. When using both indirect object pronouns and direct object pronouns in the same sentences, I'm just going to give you two simple instructions. Number one, en español siempre, in Spanish always, put the indirect object pronoun before the direct object pronoun. The direct object pronoun, remember, lo, los, la, las, those. And rule number two, if somehow the construction would be like le, los, or les, las, don't do that. When you're going to use le or les and it's followed by a direct object pronoun, we change the le and les for se. Remember I told you about this in the first part of this video. And we will see how it works in these sentences. You will see how we have an indirect object pronoun followed by a direct object pronoun in the answers of the questions that we're going to see just now. Observemos las siguientes frases. Let's observe the following phrases. ¿Le cuentas tus problemas a tu amiga? Sí, se los cuento. Now, to whom do you tell your problems? To your friend, right? And your friend could be a male or a female, so the pronoun will be le. But we don't put le and los together. So the right answer is sí, se los cuento. Sí, se los cuento. Next phrase. ¿Nos explicaron el procedimiento? ¿Nos explicaron el procedimiento? No, no nos lo explicaron. No, no nos lo explicaron. You see there the indirect object pronouns is to whom they're explaining the procedure, to us, right? So it's nos. The procedure is lo. So, no nos lo explicaron. And the final phrase, or phrases actually, would be ¿le diste la contraseña? Sí, se la di. Sí, se la di. There again, we're using se instead of le. Alright? Remember that. Never le and lo. It's se. A great phrase that you should learn as a chunk of Spanish is te lo dije. Te lo dije. Which means I told you so. But literally, it's more like to you, it, I told. Yeah, the Spanish construction is a little bit like Yoda talking. I love it. Now, in many phrases, you will know who you're talking about with the context. I'm telling you this because you'll see that the word le, the indirect object pronoun le, can work for both a he or a she, while the pronoun les works for both plural you guys, and it also works for them. Sometimes we won't know, so it's necessary that we repeat it. Did you notice how we have been translating the phrase les dejé una lasaña en el refri as both I left you guys a lasaña or I left them a lasaña? It's because with this information we don't really know who are we talking about. We don't know who the lasagna is for. So we have to clarify. If you were just to tell a bunch of people, les dejé una lasaña en el refri, they might ask you, ¿a quién le dejaste una lasaña? ¿A quién le dejaste una lasaña? To whom? To whom did you leave the lasagna for? All right? And am I using whom correctly? You see, grammar is complicated. So you will probably have to clarify with a phrase like, les dejé una lasaña a ustedes. Or, maybe if it's for you plural. Or, les dejé una lasaña a ellos. So don't you dare to touch it because it's for them, not for you. Muy bien, now you're ready to impress your Spanish-speaking friends when you use your indirect object pronouns correctly and you have phrases like te lo dije rolling off your tongue like a pro. So my fellow profesores de español, my fellow Spanish teachers Cory, Juan, Mariana, Maria Fernanda, and your humble servant Paulísima have many series about Spanish here at Spring Spanish YouTube channel. We have a series for beginners, we have Spanish for traveling, for enriching your vocabulary, and many more. Check them out and also check out the free Spanish training that we have available for you in our website, and you can access to it by following the link in the subscription box. There you will discover the method that we use at Spring Spanish Academy to teach our students to speak fluent Spanish in no time. And there you can also get some free Spanish sample lessons that come directly from our Spring Spanish Academy. This was Paulísima y fue un placer estar con ustedes. Hasta la próxima.
Remember to subscribe to the Spring Spanish YouTube channel, like this video, and share it with anyone interested in learning Spanish for good.